My name's Prachi Gupta. I'm a senior reporter at a website called Jezebel.com. I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh in 2009 with degrees in English writing and finance. And I had no idea what I wanted to do as a freshman. I was interested in advertising, I was interested in business, I was interested in writing. So Pitt ended up being the perfect place for me. And the reason is that I got to get involved in pretty much everything I wanted to do. In my very last year at Pitt, I took an honors journalism class with Cindy Skrzicki. She gave us an assignment to profile a journalist who you really admire. There was one caveat, which is that you actually have to interview or try to interview the writer. And the person I chose was Malcolm Gladwell, who I really admired at the time. At the very end, I emailed him and I asked for an interview. His assistant said no. I asked again, his assistant said no, and then I pretty much begged for a third time. I was like, I'm a college student who really wants to do what you do. Can you take a few minutes? I'd really appreciate it. And he responded. And I got to interview a journalist who at the time was very famous and didn't have a lot of time, and I was in college. And that showed me that persistence really does pay off. My friend Marin helped me introduce me to a couple of people who were starting a new media company, and I basically traded my business consulting skills in order to get things published. So I would consult them on their newsletter, on their email list, and in exchange I learned from other editors there about how to conduct interviews, and I would have my writing edited and then published. And I remember my very first interview that I'd ever done was that summer with Larry Flynt, which I was so excited about, and that was my first byline ever. So one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had professionally was in 2015 when Michelle Obama asked Cosmopolitan.com to interview her in Doha, which is in Qatar. From that, then I went to Jordan and I interviewed Syrian refugees who escaped the conflict and were now living in Jordan as undocumented immigrants. And I also interviewed a Palestinian refugee who was working to better her community through street art. It meant a lot that people affected by conflict were willing to trust me with their stories, and it was a huge responsibility. And my second really incredible experience was when I was able to interview Ivanka Trump during the 2016 election. And I had one chance to make an impact, really get clarification on some policy decisions that hadn't been clarified at all in the news in any of her other interviews. I took that responsibility really seriously. That moment, I didn't know what was going to happen going into it, but when I came out of it, I was really proud of the way the interview went, and I felt that it was definitely a career highlight for me, and I think it made an impact, at least I would like to think at least in a small way. When I was in college, I had this vague dream, oh, I want to be the next, Salman Rushdie or, whatever big author. And in my mind, it was just okay, you write something and you publish it, and then a lot of people like it, and then bam, you made it. That's not how it works. Just like in any other industry, you have to put in your dues. You're going to work jobs you don't want to do, and you're going to have to, learn how to fact check. You're going to have to do just a lot of things that people don't really associate with writing, and most of it is not glamorous. However, if you really love writing and you love reading and you're curious, just stick with it, because you will get to do what you want to do if you are persistent and show that curiosity and are always willing to demonstrate that.